Good morning, students. Today, I, Padmaja Behera, your English teacher, is here with the first chapter of the book Hornbill, and the title is Portrait of a Lady. Children, do you know the meaning of the title Portrait of a Lady? Lady, you may be understanding. What about portrait? What may be a pen picture or a pen portrait or a photograph? This has been written by the famous author, novelist, lawyer, columnist Kushwant Singh. Kushwant Singh was a great novelist. You must have seen the famous Kushwant Singh's jokes book in the market, and he is a great columnist. We all see his columns in the Hindustan Times and Times of India, and he is an eminent jurist. He was awarded Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan, the highest civilian award of India. From that, you can imagine what kind of a person Kushwant Singh is. Now, let's proceed to the theme. And children, understand the theme first. When I start a particular chapter, I always start with the theme. The theme on which this story is based is about the relationship of a grandmother and his grandson. As I told you, portrait of a lady. A lady is the grandmother. I hope you must be knowing all of that. You all are very attached to your grandmother and grandfather, unlike your parents. Animals too have emotions. We always neglect animals. We think that the animals cannot speak, so we disregard them. One should always be progressive, and we should accept any kind of relationship, whether it is a mother son, mother daughter, grandson and grandmother, grandson and grandfather. Right, children? And one should always be a beautiful person from within. You may be having a pretty face, but people will forget you if you are not beautiful. The grandmother in this story was beautiful, like the winter landscape. This is a phrase in the particular chapter. The writer has compared the beauty of the grandmother to the winter landscape. That shows how the grandmother used to wear beautiful, sparkling white clothes, and her hair also had turned grey, and she used to always wear beautiful white, sparkling clothes. And she seemed beautiful because she was a caring, loving person. And she was a very spiritual person. You know the meaning of spiritual and religious? She was spiritual because she used to think animals to be also the creation of God. We can't disrespect any creation of God. Now, let's move to the summary. It is a pen portrait of the author's grandmother. The grandmother was very old, having a wrinkled face, but she was beautiful, like the winter landscape. The writer shared a very good relationship with his grandmother in the village and also in the city. Her lips constantly moved, reading the beads of the rosary. She was very spiritual and religious. She used to feed the dogs and sparrows in the city. Their relationship took a turning point when the writer went to the city, as he was unable to help the writer or author or accompany him to school. Holy books and scriptures were not taught in the city school, so the grandmother did not like the education which was imparted in the city school, because in the city, Kushwant Singh was taught science, maths, music, and the author's grandmother had lewd association with music. Both of them shared a room initially in the city, but when the author went to the university, the common link was snapped as their rooms were separate. Children, when you also grow up, आप जब बड़े हो जाते हो तो आपके लिए भी मम्मी पापा अलग कमरा दे देते हैं. Same happened with Kuswant Singh. In the city, the grandmother used to pass her time by spinning the charkha, reading the beads of the rosary, and feeding the sparrows. This was the favorite pastime of the grandmother, right? Now look at the grandmother, how she was, how she kept herself busy. In the village, she kept herself busy by feeding the dogs and taking the narrator to the school, but she was always chanting the mantras. In the city also, she continued reading the beads of the rosary. She also fed the sparrows and she also spinned the charkha. The half an hour period when she fed the sparrows was the happiest period in the life of the grandmother. Now let's read the final statement of the chapter. The narrator returned from abroad after 5 years. The grandmother was very much there to welcome him, because nobody knew that the grandmother will be alive when Kushwant Singh returned from abroad. But look at the willpower of the grandmother, that she was alive. She gathered ladies from the neighborhood and sang songs related to homecoming of warriors. At that moment, she was so excited meeting her grandson, she forgot to pray. In the evening, she fell ill with mild fever. After falling ill, she stopped talking to anybody because she had guilt feelings that she could not pray at that moment of time when the grandson had returned from abroad. So she started chanting, she started reading the beads of the rosary, and she passed away in her sleep. After the demise of the grandmother, the sparrows had gathered to express their unhappiness on the death of the great soul. Look, as I told you earlier, animals also have feelings. The sparrows also expressed their unhappiness. The sparrow silently flew away after the body of the grandmother was taken away for cremation. See, the animals also have sentiments, but we think otherwise and we disregard the animals. I hope all of you enjoyed the presentation. Please go through the chapter for further details, because you might get an RTC in the exam and you should know who had said this and at what point of time. Thank you so much for watching, children. The PDF of the assignment will certainly follow soon. Thank you.